This is section 6.6, part 3. We are solving equations with quadratics. The first thing we need is a 0, which we have. Now we need to factor this. I see a number in front of my square, so that tells me I should have either a GCF or this is a special form, okay, in this course. I do not have a GCF. There's nothing that factors out of both a 9 and a 4. So what I do is I've got 3 terms, which sends me down to here. Do we have perfect squares on the ends? Well, 9x squared is a perfect square. Its square root is 3x. 4 is a perfect square. Its square root is 2. So I might have a perfect square trinomial. I check that, do 3x times 2, which would give me 6x. Multiply that by 2, and we do get 12x, which is in the middle. So this is a perfect square trinomial. It factors as 3x plus 2 squared equals 0. Okay. Now what we have been doing is we've been taking each set of parentheses and setting them equal to 0. It looks a little bit different here, but realize that this is the same thing as this. And if you wanted to, you could set each of these equal to 0, but really you're solving the same equation twice, and there's not really any reason to do that. So if I move this over to here, by subtracting 2 from each side, I get 3x equals negative 2. Divide both sides by a 3, and we get x equals negative 2/3. We could solve this one, but we would get this again. Okay, if you look back on the first page of the notes, you look at the largest exponent on x, and that should be the number of answers you get. It does say it is possible that you get the same answer more than once, and we count those individually. So for this, since I had a square, I expected 2 answers, and I got them. They just happened to be the same thing. Okay. In some classes, when you go on, this is going to be called a double root. Other times, you're going to hear it called. You're going to say that since you got this twice, you got this with multiplicity 2. That's college algebra. So let's look at this one. X squared equals 400. Well, I need a 0, and I want the number in front of my square to be positive, so I'm going to move this over to here. So I subtract 400 from both sides. And I get x squared minus 400 equal to 0. Okay. So now I need to get this factored, if possible. And the first thing we do is we look for a GCF, and we do not have one. We don't have 4 terms. We have 2 terms. So we're going to check for a difference of squares. So I need a minus sign in the middle. That's there. X squared is a perfect square. Its square root is x. 400, you might not know. So check it with your square root, which is right here. Enter 400, and as long as I get a nice answer, it's a perfect square. So it is 20 squared. So its square root is 20. When you have a difference of squares, that means it factors as x plus 20 times x minus 20 equal to 0. Now let's set each of these equal to 0. And solve these. So here I need to subtract 20 from both sides. And on this one I need to move it over there, so I'm adding 20 on both sides. So we get x equals negative 20 and x equals positive 20. Put your answers in braces. Now I did not do that up here because I had one answer, but if you want to get in the habit of just doing it, it's certainly correct if you put that in braces as well.